Hi guys, it's Meenu again. Welcome to the part 2 of me reading books from alphabet A to Z. In the part 1, I finished till the alphabet M. So now I'm going to be starting from alphabet N. For the alphabet N, I chose November 9 by Colleen Hoover. Colleen Hoover has been my favorite author of 2022. I really loved all of her books that I've read. And November 9 is no exception. I really loved it. The whole concept, the story, the romance, everything was just amazing. I do love it. Now let's talk about the book that I hated the most, which is One Italian Summer by Rebecca Solnit. This was a book that I just wasted my time on. Like, there was nothing that I liked about this one. Maybe Italy a little bit, but other than that, there was nothing else to actually like about this one. There was no concept. There were so many plot holes. Like, this book did not make sense to me at all. Like, this was such a waste of time and I really didn't like it. Now for the alphabet P, I read Punk 57 by Penelope Douglas. This was my first book that I read of Penelope Douglas. I may have tried her books earlier, but I did not finish it or something happened, I do not remember. But this was the book that I was really invested in. It did have a lot of problem. There was a lot of things that did not work for me, but there were a lot of things that did work for me. I think this was one of a very interesting read. I did finish it in one setting, so I really liked it. This is also the book that led me to Birthday Girl, and I'm really glad for that because I do love that book. Punk 57 is a fun read. Anyone can read it at least for once. There's a little bit of smut also, so if you like that, you can go for it. Letter Q was the hardest to find. Like, there are not many books that start from Q, so it was really hard for me to find anything. So I found Queen Song by Victoria Aveyard. This is one of the prequels of the Red Queen series. And to be honest, when I read this novella, I did not understand anything of it. It was like everything was going just above my head. I just read it because I wanted to read something of Q. I know that is not the good reason enough. But again, like I said, Q is a very difficult letter to find. So if you have many recommendations, do let me know in the comments down below. Now for the alphabet R, I read Reminders of Him by Colleen Hoover. Loved this book. I really loved the premise of it. Again, this love story, I loved everything about it, especially the grief that parents feel towards their child. Like, there are two kind of parents in this book, and the way the emotions has been shown, I loved it. And especially when this book makes you question all your emotions, it makes you question a lot of things. So that is the part that I loved it, especially the ending. The ending is just beautiful. And Romancing Mr. Bridgerton, because I really wanted to get behind the story of Penelope and Colin, because that is the next love story that we're going to get in Bridgerton series 3. To be honest, I did not like this book that much. It was okay for me. I did not like it that much. So I'm really hoping the TV version to be a little bit better, because TV version is one of my favorite ones. Even the Viking Who Loved Me, I loved the TV version or the web version much better than the actual book. So I really hope that we get the third season as amazing as the second season. For the alphabet S, I read Stories We Never Tell. And this is a story that should have never been told. It is again by Savi Sharma, and I did not like it because this book was so preachy. Like, everyone was just giving, these kind of lectures and everything. Like, everyone has this life philosophy figured out, and they're just giving that philosophy to the main characters. I'm gonna say this, that this book is at least better than Everyone Has a Story. Stories We Never Tell, it has lots of fault, but it is not as bad as Everyone Has a Story. T is like the easiest alphabet out there. Like, there's so many books that start with T, because the is something that is used in almost every other book. So again, it was like the easiest one. So the books that I read for the letter T is The Psychology of Money, The Maid, The Paris Apartment, Twisted Love, The Rules of Dating, and The Book of Cold Cases. The Book of Cold Cases topped the list because this was again one of the greatest book out there. It has mystery and thriller and paranormal done at its best, and also talks about women empowerment at the same time. It is as great as Jackal because both of these books are at par with each other. I really loved it. This is again one of my top recommendation if you want to read. The Psychology of Money was the first non-fiction book that I read, and I do like it. I did take a lot from this one. I did learn many things. Because of this book, I do want to try more non-fiction books in the year 2023. Let's see if I get time for that or not. For the letter E, again one of my favorite authors, I read Ugly Love by Colleen Hoover. This is by far my most favorite book because I love it. I love this book. I love the romance. I love the sexual tension. I love the sexual scenes in it. I love the emotions. There are two love story in it. You will love it. The whole, twist at the end. It's such a heartbreaking twist, and I don't know, it was really gut wrenching. I love it. I'm in love with this book. For the letter V, I read Vicious by Elja Shen. It was a good book. I did not hate it. There was a little bit problem here and there, but it was actually a fun read. I do like the main characters. I also liked the side characters. I think it was one of the good reads. I liked it. I do not actually read these kind of books. I do want to read the second installment of it, because this book, even though it's not a master kind of a book, but still it was a fun read. For the alphabet W, I read Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. This was the only book that I could find of W, to be honest, but I did enjoy it. I really love this classic book. There were a lot of characters in this book, and this book has like a lot of grey characters, which I actually enjoy. I do not like one-dimensional kind of characters. Also love the premise of it, the whole eerie nature of the place and the Wuthering Heights. I loved it. Even Heathcliff as a character or Catherine as a character, I liked it. There were a lot of issues with Catherine. I think she was a spoiled brat, to be honest. But still, I do not know why I do love it. I do not know. This book has some kind of effect on you. Like it takes you back to that place, that Wuthering Heights, the whole area around it. I do not know. It was good. It was a good one. And I hated this next one, which is XOXO by XEO. For the alphabet X, I had to read this one, and it was such a disappointing book. Like it was supposed to be a K-pop romance, but it was just a poopy romance. I did not like it. It was just so bad. Like so bad. It was a shame to forbidden romance kind of a book. Like it was such a waste of time, to be honest. For the alphabet Y, which is again one of the most difficult alphabets to find, I read Yellow Wife by Sadika Johnson. Yellow Wife is a gem. It is such a heartbreaking book, because this talk about what was happening to black people. This is one of a very heart-wrenching book. After 12 Years a Slave, the movie that I watched, I cannot watch it again because it was like very difficult movie to watch. And Yellow Wife is again one of those most difficult books, because it talks about slave. It talks about what is happening with women, how they were sold. Not just women, everyone was sold because of their color. So that is again one of the heart-wrenching book. All the bad things that the main character goes, and she has to see a lot of things also. Like there was also so many kids dying in this book. Like this is the book that hits you really bad. Like you cannot read it again. It has a lot of triggers, like a lot of triggers for you. And I do not know, this like talks a lot about in details what actually was happening. And this is based on true events. I mean, I know the whole thing is based on true events, but the place that it talks about, Devil's Half Acre, it is an actual place. It was this confinement kind of a place, which is like a jail for slaves, and where they were brought and sold. They were sold as worker for plantation. They were sold as sex slave. They were sold as many other things. Even kids were not spared for this thing. It makes me so angry that people could have been that much cruel. Like how a slave thing was even possible, I do not understand. And especially why just because of the skin color. Like that does not make sense to me. Like how could people actually do that? We have been slave for 200 years too by Britishers. So I do not understand what goes inside a man's mind when he thinks about enslaving another human being. Like we are the same species. We are the same human. So how do they even do that? Where do they get that gut? Where do they get that thing? Like in humanity, I just do not understand. And when you read a book like that, which impacts you so much, it just makes you wonder how much cruel people can be. It just breaks my heart that people can be that much cruel. Like they can do that to kids, they can do that to other people just because of their color or just because they do not speak the same language. Like I know that it is not totally gone right now, but it was so much worse then. So I do not know how can be people so cruel. How can the world can be so cruel? Now for the last alphabet Z, I read Zen in the Art of Writing by Ray Bradbury. Ray Bradbury is one of very famous science fiction authors. Of course, I did not know much about him because I do not read science fiction books. I just read the title of this book. It goes with Z, and especially it talks about writing. So of course, I wanted to give this one a try. But it was actually a waste of time. I did not like it that much. There are a lot of things that the author talks about. Like he talks about writing from your personal experience. So that is the one that I got. But that is the only thing that I got. Like I think it was saying the same thing like many times. But it's okay. It's not a bad read. You can gain a lot from this experience. To each its own. The author talks a lot about his experience when it comes to writing, when it comes to publishing. So it can be very helpful for you too. So if you want, you can give it a try. So that is it, guys. That was my list of the books that I've read from the alphabet A to alphabet Z or Z, whatever you like to call it. Just let me tell you what are the alphabets that are the most difficult to find. Of course, there's J. There's Q, there's U, there's W, of course, there's X, there's Y, and there's Z. Other than that, I think you can find books of all other letters very easily. But these are some alphabets that was very difficult to find. The easiest of the alphabets are A and T and also S. I love doing this challenge. I think it was very interesting to do. You can give it a try, but you have to start very early because even though you think it's only 26 books, it is not just 26 books. It is going to take a lot out of you because of course you want to do read from A to Z, but you also want to read other books. Like there are going to be new books or some books that you're really excited about. So it's gonna take a lot of time. It took a lot of time for me too. So if you start this challenge, do let me know in the comments down below. I would love to hear your thoughts. And if you find any alphabet really confusing or you do not find any book that start with it, do let me know in the comments down below. If possible, I will try to give you a name for it. I really hope you like this video because I did love doing this segment. And if you liked it too, do not forget to subscribe and hit that like button. I will see you next time. Have a great year.